Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bengal Tiger Podcast. I'm Matthew Bruni, and joining me once again for this Monday Mailbag podcast is Shay Dixon. Shay, how are you? November 21st. What about 4 days from Thanksgiving? You excited?
Oh, rocking. Yes. Staying here, not traveling for Thanksgiving. So yeah, I'm good to go on that front. Are you going home to all the way to San Antonio?
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Okay.
Plans can change, but the plan is to go San Antonio and then go to Texas A&M for the game and then come
Boom.
back. So get the whole experience there. But yeah, we got a lot of podcasts. We're doing this a little later, so we gotta maybe go through a little faster with Kelly presser at
Yeah,
12
we
o'clock.
we have not we have not talked to Brian Kelly today. So some of these answers might come with more clarity once we talk to Kelly, but we'll catch up on that on a
Yeah, I
later
think we should be
pod.
good on the most of them. All right, you want to get into it?
Let's get it. All right. Question one is a stat question. Bourbon and Cheerios. Does Jayden Daniels hit 3,000 passing yards? Hashtag Jayden for Heisman.
Let me pull up the stats.
Thoughts?
He's at
2,377, right?
with 3 games left. So A&M, Georgia, and then bowl game / playoff game. You anticipate Georgia, him not being, I mean, I would just, assume he's not going to pass for 300 plus yards there.
Well, this would
A&M,
be, that's 3 games, right? So that'd be like 205 or 6 yards a game.
yeah, about
Maybe,
a little over
maybe a little more than
200,
that.
a little over 200 game. I mean, I think it's possible. I think it's definitely possible, depending on who they get in the bowl game. I would anticipate something around 250 to 300 this week against A&M. And then if he has a good game, 200 against Georgia, and then sets you up nicely for that third one. So, yeah, I think 3,000 is a pretty reasonable number. I would take the over in that at this moment.
I will say the same. I think he'll hit that. I think he'll have another big game that puts a good chunk of that out of the way, like he did this past weekend. Maybe not,
Yeah.
there's been a few games where he's hit 300, in that upper 200, 300 range. I think it'll be interesting to see if he gets to 1,000 rushing yards, which he's over 700. So he's popping 80, 90 off a game. If he's a 3,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher, that is a hell of a season.
Yeah.
We don't know. We're moving quickly. We actually don't have a ton of questions. Some people got theirs deleted because they asked recruiting questions on a non-recruiting pod, which Matthew keeps the rules strict here.
I deleted like 7 questions.
So if you're wondering why your question didn't get answered, Matthew deleted it.
Cut.
He'll make me and Billy talk about it on the recruiting pod. Who do you like in the World Cup? Are you watching any soccer?
Yeah.
You watch everything.
Yeah, I watch everything. Yeah, I have a lot of soccer friends from San Antonio High School. I had a lot of soccer people, so I stay in touch with them. So we do a big pool where we fill out the bracket. I had Brazil. I had Brazil winning it, which I know is the basic pick. I think they were the favorite or second.
So Brazil is the favorite. France second, Argentina third, England fourth. Which we're recording this. England already won today. Mm-hmm. Spain fifth, Germany sixth, Belgium after that.
Yeah, I took Brazil.
I'll go France.
Okay. Conte's not playing, right?
And Belgium sleeper.
Don't worry about Conte and Pogba aren't playing, man. I don't know about that one.
I'm going France, but I also think, Argentina in the final Messi years could be interesting, but Germany, Belgium are my sneaky picks there.
I got Germany going kind of far too.
If you want to make some
good World Cup analysis.
Me knowing nothing about it. Yep, that'll be it for it. Vanilla ice cream. We do have some Thanksgiving questions, Maddie B. Vanilla ice cream or whipped cream with your pie? I'm vanilla ice cream for sure. No hesitation.
I'm good either way. Yeah, I'd probably go for ice cream.
Going with a little both.
Yeah, I'd probably go ice cream, but yeah, I'm good either way. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. Shout out to USC for getting their first win over Southern Cal over a ranked team in the third week of November. Actually, I wonder if South Carolina has more than one win over a ranked team. Could that go both ways? But he's talking about USC, the Trojans, top 5 material. So let me scroll down here.
I think the overarching question
someone else asked this. Grape Swisha said, can we get a top 6 power rating from y'all? So let's answer these both at once. Number 1, Georgia. These are the poll rankings right now. We'll see how the college football playoff rankings look, which are the only ones that matter. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, who hung on for dear life. A couple of these teams did, but no one liked them. And Michigan did too. Southern Cal, which jumped LSU. LSU stays at 6. I want our reactions. Basically, is this agreeing? Do you agree LSU's at 6, and then Grape Swisher wants a power ranking? So let's move past 1. Georgia's 1. Now let's go.
Yeah, I'm good with. I mean, obviously, I think Ohio State at 2 is good, even though everybody struggled this week. Ohio State at 2 is good. Michigan, I can't see them beating Ohio State, so I think that'll take care of itself. But they are undefeated at this point. Obviously, just really struggled with Illinois this past week. And so after that, TCU, same thing. They're undefeated. They've escaped. They've escaped a lot of losses this year, and then USC being the main one here. The win over UCLA is impressive. I'll give them that. And they have one loss. I think my whole thing is that this is all gonna sort itself out to a degree, right? If USC wins out and they beat Notre Dame and then Oregon in the championship, I think they're in. Or I think they're in if TCU loses, right? If TCU wins out, then they're in. Michigan, if they lose to Ohio State this weekend, I can't. Their resume is not strong enough to me. I think TCU and USC would pass them up, and LSU. I think all three of those would pass them up, and so that would eliminate them. And then LSU would need one of TCU or USC to lose at that point. If we're talking playoffs, obviously that's not the question exactly being asked, but for playoff implications, that's how I'm looking at it.
Okay, I like your top 2. And I agree with your playoff stuff. And look, LSU, if you really want to talk playoffs for LSU, win out. That's it. Obviously, that's the only route. And then the rest handles itself, as you noted. In terms of the playoffs and this power ranking that Grape Swisher wants, this weekend will tell us plenty with Ohio State, Michigan. I'm not buying Michigan. I'm not buying Michigan. I don't think they've played a tough schedule at all. They haven't played a tough schedule. Again, we'll see this weekend with Ohio State. I actually think TCU, LSU. I think TCU and USC are better than Michigan, and I think LSU could beat Michigan as well. So there's something to be said about winning close games. That's something LSU's done plenty of this year. So TCU gets that nod, Michigan gets that nod, even though they're not playing great teams. And I don't think you should sleep. I know USC is who everyone's talking about right now because they jumped them, and look, they have one loss. They lost by a point to Utah. And I think there is a feeling that the Pac-12 is probably the second best conference behind the SEC this year.
It's a solid. Yeah, it's been a really good year for the SEC for the Pac-12. But yeah, I would drop Michigan pretty. I mean, I think Alabama's better than Michigan, to be frank. So.
Oh, 100%. I agree too. I think there are a number of teams that are. And again, if they lose to Ohio State this weekend, they're pretty much out of sight, out of mind in terms of the playoff discussion in my mind. JWP, odds Jayden comes back for a 5th year. I think high. Yeah. Unless he goes on some massive tear that pushes him up draft boards. The only reason to leave in my opinion, if you have NFL aspirations, would be if you were projected to be like a top 50 pick. And I'm not
I was going to say round 2 or round 3.
Anywhere that, okay, it's like top 70. So I don't think so. I think he could improve that. If that's his true goal to play in the NFL, I think he would improve his stock more coming back.
I agree. And I think, he'll be covered from an NIL perspective. I think he'll be fine there. And
yeah, I don't sense he's in a rush to be done. You know what I mean? I think he just went through 3 years at Arizona State. One was a COVID-shortened season where they only played 5 games in the Pac-12 that year, as opposed to everyone else getting 10. So I think he's now experiencing a new college experience, and he's already graduated from Arizona State in 3 years. So it's kind of been fun. I think it's been a fun transition for him. I think he sees he can still grow his game a good bit.
Yeah. And coming into the year, I would have said the opposite. I would have said he's looking just to get out after this year. I would have said he came to LSU with the goal of getting to the NFL in 1 year. After seeing how this year has unfolded and how he's progressed, I think there's a very high chance he comes back next year.
All right, now in agreement. Go 63. If LSU beats A&M but loses to Georgia, are they a lock for a New Year's Six bowl? This is an interesting discussion. I'd have to look at what all the tie-ins for New Year's Six bowl, what they have to choose in terms of like highest ranked SEC team, but a Hendon Hookerless Tennessee, in my opinion, hell, they play Vandy this weekend. Who even knows how that one will go?
My
Vandy's hot.
question is, if LSU loses to Georgia, are they still ranked higher than Alabama?
Well, that's the question, right? Is that if they have to choose do they have to choose the highest ranked SEC team if you're the Sugar Bowl or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
I know there's at-large games, Cotton Bowl's 2 at-large teams. So, I mean, they can choose whoever they want, I believe.
Yeah.
Sugar has an SEC tie-in. But, yeah, that will be interesting. Does LSU get penalized? Well, you dropped to 3 losses, but are you penalized for that third loss for a game that Bama wasn't eligible to play in?
Yeah. That's interesting.
Typically, it seems, as history has shown, that the rankings team will protect a bit teams that play in a conference, certainly the SEC Conference Championship, and lose, that you don't go plummeting.
Yeah.
And you'd be losing to the number 1 team.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good question.
But I still think it's Sugar or Cotton for LSU.
Okay. So you think it is a lock, most likely?
I think most likely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Tennessee losing makes it quite interesting, right? Because they could be the odd man out with 2 losses now. Like, even if LSU drops to 3, do they go behind a Hooker? Hooker's out for the year with an ACL, unfortunately. That isn't it? If Cotton Bowl's at large teams, what's more appealing, LSU or Tennessee without Hendon Hooker?
Exactly.
And again, if Tennessee loses to Vandy somehow, which Vandy has rolled off 2 SEC wins in a row, including beating Florida this past weekend, without their starting quarterback, that would completely erase them from the discussion.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Trent 0521, Shay the Power. When does Perk 40 get in the 6-star? They want the 6-star, Matty B. Harold Perkins being a 5-star, not enough.
You need the 5-star plus.
That's right. He needs the 5-star plus when you're ranked a 5-star by everybody. That's what that is. RHCP 93. Do we expect Derek Davis Jr. to get more carries at running back with Goodwin out for the year? And then the Emory fumbles. Thoughts, Matty B, your man coming off the bench at safety into running back because they were without Josh Williams, who was just banged up for the game. He's their starter. Armani Goodwin, as he noted, is out for the year now with an injury. Brian Kelly confirmed. So you're down to Noah Cain and John Emery as your scholarship running backs, and then you get Josh Williams back. Is 3 enough? Davis going to be getting run.
I don't think we see Davis very much. With Williams back, I think Williams will get, like I said before, 70% of the snaps, and then
they trust Cain. That's evident.
And then Cain will get, I think, the rest. I think it'll just be a 1-2 punch from here on out.
Man, I'm a real dummy because I said before the year I really thought Emory and Armani Goodwin would carry the running back room, and it's quite the opposite. It's Josh Williams is their best player, and Noah Cain's their touchdown scorer.
Yeah, but if you looked at like who the guys are that are the most like game-changing type of players, you would say Goodwin and Emory. I think, in my opinion, I mean, Josh. Again, taking nothing away from Josh Williams, he is incredibly solid, but he's not. I personally don't think he is the explosive playmaker that Armani Goodwin is or John Emery is. And Goodwin's hurt, Emery's fumbling. So here we are.
Yeah. And look, Josh Williams does some things that those two can't do. So
yes, for sure.
I don't know. I'm with you there. Yeah. I don't think Derek Davis is going to get a lot of run, but hey, he showed some pop there. Maybe he does. Maybe I'm wrong. Brian Kelly will get asked about that, I am sure, on Monday. So we'll figure that out. There's some recruiting questions in here, guys. LSU alignment, others. The second part of RHCP 93's question. We'll get on some of these in the recruiting.
Damn, I forgot to delete them. I missed them.
Go ahead. T-Bass 82. 2-parter here. Well, the second part will go first. Is cranberry sauce the worst Thanksgiving side dish? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was
quick.
Never. Absolutely.
Yeah,
don't
never
even
get that table again.
Don't need it. It's too early to have these discussions, but what do you think do you think Matt House will be here next year? I do think Matt House sticks around another year. I mean, he just left the NFL. He's a DC at the college level. I don't know if he's trying to be a head coach right now. So unless you're getting like an NFL DC job, I'm not sure what movement you want to make. He just moved his family down here and bought a house, all that kind of stuff. I understand the nature of the game, but he gets paid a lot of money to be a college DC. So I think he'll be here. And I think it shows once again, Matty B, that Brian Kelly knows if there's one position Brian Kelly can hire, it's a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
From Marcus Freeman to Clark Lee to we've talked about this on the pod a number of times, but who is at A&M? Elko. He's had a run of now Matt House of hitting on defensive coordinators, and not just solid D coordinators, like dudes who are super elite and go on to be, head coaches and stuff like that. So I think you'll be good in the post Matt House era, but I also don't think it'll end this year.
I don't think so either. I think you make all the points. He came back this year. He came back from the NFL. He's not going to the NFL again, I assume. He's not going back
unless
to the
he got
NFL.
like a DC job. But
Exactly.
even then,
That's what I'm
does
saying.
an NFL DC pay more than what LSU pays their DCs? I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, and he did. Part of the reason he did come back also was because of the whole the teaching aspect. I remember listening to him before. It's just like the whole teaching aspect of helping these kids grow a little bit more and having, more control of your players and so on and so forth. It's not as much of a business. So I think he'll be here for another year. And then after that,
you got to ride that Harold Perkins train.
Exactly.
Can't you be going on that?
Exactly.
5 Tigers asked about the World Cup too. We got that win. Who wins? We got that one in. Go 63. If they get the chance, do you think LSU tries to run it up on the Aggies for playoff committee style points? I just think they run their game plan. I mean, if they keep scoring, they keep scoring. But again, I think this will be the spread on this game is not even 10 points. I think it'll be a close game. Actually,
yeah, I'm.
You better hope you're in a position to run it up. Then you can.
Be in a position to run it up. I mean, they didn't even take Jayden Daniels out until the last 2-3 possessions of the game against UAB. So I don't think they go into any game saying
no.
Yeah, they don't go into any game saying, all right, let's go up at halftime and get Jayden Daniels out of the game. Like, if they would have thought that, they would have done that against UAB. They clearly are just going to keep their starters out there, keep running it for as long as they can. And if they're up 3 scores with 5 minutes left, then they'll take them out.
Here's the thing. They could beat A&M 50-0, and I'm not sure the playoff committees would be like, that's super impressive.
You still need, exactly.
I mean, let's be real. They've won 4 games.
Yeah.
And they've had everybody out. Go 63 also asked, any chance the transfer portal flu leaves A&M shorthanded for this game? See, there's another thing that if it happens again to them, I don't think that you can win by a lot. You just need to win. That's the only goal for LSU. But even if you win by a lot, how impressive is it? They barely beat UMass this past weekend. Their list of guys who actually, they do have a lot of people out with the flu. Kayshawn was out with the flu. They've battled that 2 weeks in a row. Then they've got guys who've been suspended. And, we all know the storylines. Point being, they have a lot of guys out. I do think that will be something to really monitor this week of how many guys come back for that final game, how many guys sit. It's senior night, so you would anticipate all those guys are still rocking and rolling, Damani Richardson and all them. So they'll have some guys. But I do want to see kind of who's been missing that ends up playing this weekend.
Yeah.
Mr. Haver, who's popular in the chats, Harold Perkins is a monster. It makes me think about how 5 stars have gone for LSU. I was trying to think how the last few have gone. Do we have an unlucky hit rate on 5 stars or par for the course? Stingley was a consensus. Chase was on 1 service as a 5-star. The rest underwhelmed or transferred. Okay. I'll answer this one, and I already know.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm thinking.
Here's your 5 stars. Really, let's just say over the past 10 years, and I can run down this list pretty quickly with how they panned out. Mason Smith, beast. Savion Jones, which people don't realize was a 5-star on 3. He looks very promising right now. Eric Gilbert at tight end didn't work out, transfers, and actually hasn't worked out for anyone. Eli Ricks at corner goes to Bama. He was good here. He was part of that COVID team. And then the year after when they were kind of in some struggle times, and he didn't play great against LSU, obviously, but he's had a couple good games at Bama. I think he'll still get onto an NFL team. Maybe not a true 5-star showing across college, but a very good player. Butte, 5-star. He's very good. I think he will be a first-round draft pick. Stingley, 5-star. Yep. I mean, top 3 pick. Emery, who we've already discussed on the pod. I think that's kind of plays into why you have frustrations with the fumbling and not seeing him emerge. He was the number 1 running back in the country. Marcel Brooks, who went to TCU. Just a great athlete and just didn't work out for him. At LSU was kind of hopping positions and ended up going back home. Terrace Marshall and Jamar Chase, who he mentioned, were 5 stars. You won natties with those guys. Marshall was a second-round pick. Obviously, Chase, top 5. Jacoby Stevens, a 5-star, and that's probably one where you think, okay, he stayed for 5 years. He wasn't like a first or second round draft pick, so you didn't necessarily hit on that 5-star there. Christian Fulton, I would say close to hit, second round pick, who played a hell of a lot of good football for LSU and does the same in the NFL. Rashard Lawrence and Ed Alexander, Kevin Tolliver were all 5 stars in a class. I would say none of those really hit for you. Tolliver was a solid corner for him, plays in the NFL. Rashard Lawrence plays in the NFL, but was more of a program guy and just gives you a ton of starts. And Ed Alexander just didn't seem to ever really turn that corner consistently. Tyron Johnson was a 5-star. He's one that transferred and went to Oklahoma State and landed in the NFL, but late, I would say he did not hit on that. Then the last 3 were 10 years ago. Fournette, Malachi Dupre, and Jamal Adams. And Fournette for sure hit on it. Jamal Adams for sure hit on it. Malachi would definitely be into that group of you kind of wish you would have seen more from him across college. But I'd say they have a lot of hits, actually.
Yeah, and a lot of those, the ones that don't hit, I mean, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of the ones that don't hit are like, didn't work out. I don't even know because of like football reasons. Some of them either transferred or maybe just didn't work out. I mean, Eric Gilbert, geez, first year.
That's when you wish we would have got to see how things could have gone for him. He's just, and
really,
whether it be here or at Georgia, you just haven't seen it happen. So
hope he can get it together because man, he was great 2020.
So I'd say they have not bad. And now they have on 3, they have 3 5-stars right now. Rankings were updated today. Zalance Hurd and Shelton Sampson remained 5 stars, and Deshaun Womack, their edge rusher, the heir apparent to B.J. Ojulari in a sense, was moved up to a 5-star on 3. So good news for those guys.
So good.
All right, we'll move quick here to close out. We got a few more. Cajun Tiger. What player on offense and defense do you feel is the greatest improvement since week 1? And then he asks about the long return about UAB and poor special teams play. Was that just an aberration? He had felt better about special teams, and now all of a sudden you pause again. Let's answer that one quickly. I mean, they also had penalties on special teams. They've kicked the ball out of bounds on kickoff on special teams. So they missed an extra point on special teams. So I'm not completely off the special teams' turn to corner thing. But offense and defense, best player from week 1 to now. I think offense is very clear what the answer is, but it's almost unfair to say it, but it's Jayden Daniels.
Yes.
But he was their best player in week 1. He was the reason that they were still in that game in week 1.
Yeah. So, but he's definitely the one that's improved the most. He's definitely improved the most. Who else? I mean, who else could even be in that conversation?
Perkins on defense from special teams to full-time starter.
From week 1 to now,
Converse has played some
I was gonna say like
late in the year.
I would say the corners, I feel like have gotten a lot better early in the year. I mean, Jordan Travis had a really, really good game against them week 1. And Bernard Converse, I thought has gotten a lot better as the season gone on. Garner has been consistently better. They stopped playing Colby Richardson. He struggled. But those two and Micah Baskerville, throw him in there. And then
Greg Penn's putting himself into that conversation in a sense.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some guys.
Yeah, offensively, outside of Daniels, Will Campbell.
Yeah, you have to probably one of the Will Campbell, someone who's started his first game ever and is now pretty reliable for you.
Charles Turner's been pretty consistently good this year.
Mason Taylor.
Yeah, Mason Taylor.
Charles Turner's a good one at center. So yeah, a lot of good improvement there. Neo Venator, I think. Who are the guys on the commit list that could have big impacts next year, either because they're too good to keep off the field or just necessity? We'll do a little projection like he asked maybe on the recruiting pod of how many guys, but we've talked about Womack a lot and he just got his 5th star. I think that's a good answer.
Stud. He's a stud.
You're losing B.J. Ojulari most likely. So you need someone to be that next guy up. Savion Jones has been playing with his hand in the dirt a good bit too. So, he could fill in while also playing a guy like Womack at the edge. So I think Womack could be one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the top.
Everyone's kind of settled on.
Yeah, you look at the top 3 guys: Sampson, Womack, and Hurd. I mean, Can't really go wrong if you pick one of those three, I don't think.
Right.
The rest will either have to prove it or they'll step into a room that's kind of more crowded, I think. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. Definitely, that's more of a signing day type thing because, we'll get there on signing day. We'll have plenty of talk about that.
No doubt. Mr. Virgo, who do you think team MVP is so far? I think it's a runaway.
I think it's Jayden
It
Daniels.
has to be Jayden Daniels. Where would you be right now if you didn't have a guy that was rushing for that's maybe throwing for 3,000 and rushing for 1,000 and leading you in touchdowns? He leads you in passing, rushing, touchdowns.
It's not close.
That's the
Yeah,
most valuable player by
it's not close.
far.
And, I think I saw a tweet. I think it was like week 1 or 2. It's like, Jayden Daniels, wherever he goes, the offense becomes him to a degree. And that can be very true. But a lot of that is because he can be the most productive on the field. At his peak, at his best, he can be the best player on the field and win you games like Alabama, can win you games like we've seen throughout this year. Almost not single-handedly, but he can have a huge, huge impact because of his dual threat ability. So yeah, it's him.
All right, now 2 more.
2 more.
That's it. Neovinator asked them both. What are things A&M will try to exploit to keep the game close with LSU? My answer here, and you can expound on it if you want, I think you're going to say similar, would have to be a defensive approach because I think that's probably the only thing A&M's good at now.
Yeah.
And it would be to try to mirror whatever Auburn and Arkansas did. Maybe most notably Arkansas because they actually do have a good front seven at A&M that can get after the quarterback. So is the answer just pressure Jayden Daniels? Is that the approach?
I think so. I mean, you have to make him uncomfortable, which the Arkansas game was such an anomaly to me in a couple different ways. But yeah, you have to make him uncomfortable. You have to be able to take away the short stuff that gets him in a rhythm, and then ultimately you need them to play to turn the ball over. And I don't think LSU is going to turn the ball over after that Arkansas game. I feel like that's been drilled into their head. They're going to be sharp. I'm really not worried from an LSU perspective that A&M can really hurt them. Has Devon Achane played the past couple games? I have not. I didn't
He
watch
is not. I think he. Oh yeah, I didn't watch the UMass, but he didn't play the week prior, obviously.
They played Auburn the week before, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, he's a massive piece. Best player on offense, obviously.
Yeah, he hasn't
Probably
played.
one of the best players on the team.
Yeah, hasn't played the last 2 weeks. So
okay,
yeah,
so
that'll
be how to answer it. Be interesting to watch that one again. I want to see how many of these guys who've been sitting out are going to be back. Last one is LSU too dependent on Jayden Daniels running the football.
They ran the ball a lot against UAB with him, which I thought was interesting. I don't think they're too dependent on him running the football specifically because I feel like they need him to run the football within what Mike Denbrock wants to do, to keep the defense honest, to keep the pass rushers honest, to help the offensive line in a lot of instances. They need him to run the ball by design. I don't think it's too much. I think I said after the UAB game, I didn't feel like they needed him to do that much in the UAB game because he took some hits and that wasn't great. Against A&M, we'll see how the score ends up looking, but how much they want to run him in that game is up for debate. But against Georgia, you need him to be a threat running the ball on every single play. Every single play, the defense has to account for him running the football. So
Yeah.
I think that there's not too much running against Georgia unless if we go back to week 1 to where he was literally not looking past the first receiver and the offensive line was crumbling around him. Like if all else goes wrong, then yes, there is a situation where he does run too much. But if it's going by design, he needs to be a threat on every play.
Yep, I'm in complete agreement with everything you just said. I think that they're using him just enough, and look, they're using him even more now on the back end with a lot of these designed runs, as you noted this past month. So that is going nowhere. All right, we're done. That's it.
All right, get us out of here. We got BK in 50 minutes, so we can head on over there and get all that done. Subscribe to the Bengal Tiger if you're not already. Check out the site.
The hat.
Still running every day. Every day I will plug this hat to anybody who is listening. So yeah, get the hat. $1 for a year. Still going. Again, we hit our We hit our goal, a target goal we had for subscriptions, and we're surpassing that now. Every day it's going up. We appreciate all of the support. We appreciate support on the YouTube as well. That is growing exponentially almost at this point. So continue to share with friends, leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you are not already. We really appreciate all that. So for Shay Dixon, I'm Matthew Bruni, and we will talk to y'all later.